hoping that it'll come through, but we're not confident.
Just to this group, because they won't be able to see us on streaming.
Well, they might.
Okay, I hear you, all right.
So we're just having technical difficulties. It's kind of coming up, but it's not normal, let's put it that way.
Okay,
Okay, it's moving now.
it is up, so we're good. I was just gonna do the stream. I'm good.
No, it's not, so fill it back into,
What is not?
Jim, sorry.
It's
My bad. The guy in the white shirt standing there nervous.
Turn mine back in. Things are already. We're supposed to be there Monday. Are we ready now, John? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting scheduled for March 21st. Before we get started, I'd just like to say congratulations to the Yotes, our men's basketball team being the NAIA champion. So that's worth a round of applause, isn't it? All right, we'll start off our meeting here tonight with, it looks like we have a substitution. Pastor Phil Whitbeck will come up and give us our invocation. He's also one of our fire chaplains, so, or the fire chaplain. So,
Man.
thank you. So if we'll all stand, please.
Eternal Father, once again, we are thankful for the opportunity to gather in freedom in this place. These good men and women have been chosen to lead our community. This is a privilege and a great responsibility. So, Lord, we ask that they may be inspired to do their very best in ruling as they serve all of Caldwell. Give them wisdom tonight, I pray, and may their lives be blessed for their serving. In the name of our Christ our Lord, amen.
Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The roll call is next. Is that correct, Debbie?
Yes.
All right.
Doty?
Here?
Dottie?
Here.
Register?
Here.
McGee? Here. Allgood?
Here.
Williams?
Here.
Any conflict of interest declarations by any of the council? Seeing none, we'll move on to the amendments to the agenda. Go ahead.
Mr. Council President, I move that from the consent calendar, we move items 6, 9, and 12 to do business for further discussion.
All right, motion from Councilor Stoddard.
Second.
Second from Councilor Williams. Please call the roll.
Dottie?
Yes.
Register?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Allgood?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Doty?
Yes. Looks like tonight we have a proclamation as well as 2 annual update reports, one from Caldwell Housing Authority and one from Advocates Against Family Violence. So I'll start with the Week of the Young. Who's our representative? Do we have a representative for them in the crowd? We do not? Okay. All right. So, Week of the Young proclamation. Whereas the Idaho Association for the Education of Young Children is celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 1 through 7, 2023, and whereas We are working to promote and inspire high-quality early childhood experiences for our state's youngest citizens that can provide a foundation of learning and success for children in Caldwell, Idaho. And whereas teachers and others who work with or on behalf of young children birth through age 8 who make a difference in the lives of young children in Caldwell deserve thanks and recognition. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's futures and to the prosperity of our society. Now therefore, clearly this isn't me, I, Jerem Wagner, Mayor of the City of Caldwell, do hereby proclaim April 1 through 7, 2023 as the Week of the Young Child in Caldwell, Idaho, and encourage all citizens to work to support and invest in early childhood in Caldwell. And who's first here? Caldwell Housing Authority. Who do we have speaking on behalf of the Housing Authority?
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Well, thank you. Members of council, thanks for the opportunity.
Excuse me, if you can just state your name, that would be great.
Yes, Teresa Sanchez,
Thank you.
Program Specialist with Caldwell Housing Authority, and I'm here to provide the annual update. In April of this year, Farmway Village will celebrate its 83rd birthday, providing housing to the community. A couple months later, in June, the Caldwell Housing Authority will celebrate its 77th birthday. During that time, the Caldwell Housing Authority has a long-standing history of providing workforce and farm labor housing to the greater Caldwell community. These are a few things you should know about the Caldwell Housing Authority. Tenants of the Caldwell Housing Authority earned $10 million in income last year, of which most of the money is spent locally. Over its 83rd history, tenants have contributed over more than $350 million to the local Caldwell area community. Farmway Village continues to provide rent at less than 65% of the market, with no local, state, or federal subsidies. We are the largest H-2A agriculture housing program in the state, and our tenants may directly support 40,000 to 60,000 acres of agricultural land, further supporting the Caldwell's Farm to Fork motto. The Caldwell Housing Authority is consistently positioning itself to be a friend to the community by providing affordable housing and engaging in worthwhile community projects. Here are a few highlights of our cooperation in the city of Caldwell and the community this last year. CHA staff resurfaced the 7th Street footbridge into the plaza, making it safer for the pedestrians to cross, and will soon resurface the 6th Street footbridge. CHA staff completed accessibility and other site improvements at the Wolf Field and is doing additional work there now, actually. Our engineer completed a comprehensive drinking water study, and CHA is collaborating with the city to bring drinking water to the new urban renewal district. Our architect completed a 20-year master plan to both increase and improve the housing stock at the Farmway Village, possibly adding another 300 units of housing stock at the Farmway Village. Possibly adding another 300 units of housing in the foreseeable future. We are working on a design-build project with the local architect and develop to build a new type of workforce using a downtown housing in downtown Caldwell. Staff is remodeling a blighted house in Caldwell to sell to a lucky person who has chosen Caldwell as their preferred community for only $169,000. More to come about that in the near future. Collaborating with several community organizations to relocate the historic John C. Rice House from its current location on College Street to Kimball and Chicago downtown, developing the first of its kind affordable housing for public safety personnel. On a monthly basis, CHA staff provides a ready-to-eat foods to the blessing boxes located at the Caldwell Police Department and the Caldwell Library Food Pantry. We also help the College of Idaho Food Pantry. many sponsored community activities to include the annual STEM egg drop contest, the Caldwell Youth Fishing Derby, and other celebratory and cultural events. Finally, and most important, CHA provides 240 units of housing and necessary community resources to its tenants. We are both proud where we came from and excited where we are going. We're looking forward to the future and the possibilities the growth of the city presents to Caldwell Housing Authority. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you as well, and I'm lucky to be on the Caldwell Housing Authority, or as the representative from City Council, so there's so many things that you guys do that I think our citizens are unaware of, so
Yep.
we appreciate you showing up tonight and giving us the report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next? Advocates Against Family Violence. Huh? Kim Dugan.
Me and technology, it's not a good thing.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Kim Dugan, Advocates Against Family Violence, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here tonight and present and give you an update on the wonderful things that we do on our campus, providing the hope, the healing, and the strength so desperately needed to those whose lives have been impacted by domestic abuse and sexual assault. This past year, at Advocates Against Family Violence, we were able to provide over 19,114 services to individuals who came to our campus, whether it was through the shelter is a 90-day shelter stay, our housing program. We just finished our last, we're done. I'm not developing anymore, we're done. We're done. Our last 32 units, so we now have 110 units of affordable housing on our campus. If you've not been to our campus, please do come by and take a look, and I'll give you a personal tour, take you to the shelter and everything. Our outreach program, we began that 10 years ago, and since that time we've been able to like get deep into the lives of the kids within our community and within the county actually, and present with them how to have a healthy relationship, how to set healthy boundaries, how to teach them how to say no, and that they don't have to let just anything into their lives. And then we also have our learning center, which is on our campus next to our administration building. And each year, if you've had a bad day, all you have to do is just go next door and look into the lives of those little babies. When we opened that up, I didn't want to open it because it was going to run at a deficit, and I don't care if it runs at a deficit now, because when I go over there, I know that those babies are getting their love and support that they need throughout the day. This last year, 1,603 calls came into our hotline for immediate assistance. And then we have our court advocates who are in the court system, and they were able to attend 5,976 civil protection order hearings. That's one person doing that. And then we also have our master level clinician, and she provided 817 counseling sessions. And then 5,601, don't forget that one, 5,601 youth were served through our outreach program. And that, to me, they're our future. And that right there, that number is the most imperative to me, because I know that we're touching the lives of our future, and we're teaching them how to have healthy relationships. The criminal justice needs assessment came out in 2020, and it's being worked on to come out again this next year. But one of the most critical components of that was each respondent said that domestic violence rated as the top 5 public concern for safety. That's critical to us, and that's critical to our program, and that's why this city, and why we are so desperately needed within this city to serve those victims who are victimized by domestic abuse and sexual assault. 24% rated domestic violence as a top 3 public safety problem in their communities. Top 3. We're here to stay. I'm sorry to say that. My whole goal as executive director was to shut the doors and say, we've conquered it, we've eliminated violence. That's our mission statement. We work to eliminate violence. That's a bold, bodacious statement. But we say it every morning when we get up and when we go to serve those individuals that we serve every day. So, but just to know that it's a critical need in our communities. But we're working together, and we're going to continue working together. We've served on the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council since its inception. I was on the very first committee when it started up, and then we also serve with the Caldwell Youth Forum. We help host the Caldwell Fun Run. We do with the Family Fun Day. We do the fun run with all the balloons and all the chalk and all the dust and dirt and all the fun, and the kids love it. I don't like it, but they love it. And then with our Hope Plaza, like I said, we've got a 10-acre campus there with what is that? Oh, I was like, why does that only say 22 affordable housing units? No, that's a whole lot more than that. We have 110 affordable housing units out there. And then this last year, we are so grateful. I have been, since executive director 11 years ago, begging to have a car that says stop violence. And this year, where are you at?
You're right there in the back.
I have to tell you, this new chief and his crew, I absolutely love them. And we've been able to really reestablish a good, solid relationship with Caldwell PD, and we're there to help them and have that collaborative effort all the way through. In fact, we've had deep conversation, and we know that those sexual call-outs and all of those domestic violence call-outs, they've got one person doing that. And Liz, she's only one tiny little person, and she's amazing. We love Liz, and we've worked with her for a very long time, but she can't continue to do it by herself. And so we're working to get the funding to come through so that we can actually have a full-time advocate there on site with them as well, so that Liz has that support, and then those individuals who are coming in for that care that don't maybe make it to our campus, they'll have that care and that support, those supportive services there. And then the mayor, he's always supporting us with our proclamations. Council, you guys are always there to help support us and to help carry us through. And so we're so grateful. This year marks our 20-year anniversary. I thought 20 years was big. I mean, you guys have been there a long time, but 20 years, I was like, we've been doing this a long time and serving this community a long time, and I'm just really proud of who we are and what we do over there. Just a quick 5-year snapshot of what we've been doing the last 5 years. Each year, the council and the city has been so gracious to give us $5,000 annually. That pays 1 month's utility bill at the shelter, honestly. But we're grateful for that, and we began receiving this in 2014, and we're grateful for it. We know that we haven't seen an increase yet. There's been an increase in the need for our services every single year. Our growth pattern, we've seen a 38% increase in the number of individuals that we have served over the course of this last year even, and then a 50% increase in the unmet requested services. That's a frightening statistic to me, that we're still not able to meet the needs of this community, and we're at 50%. We've got to be able to do it. We just got to be able to help them when they're coming in the middle of the night, or when they're coming in the daytime. We had a gal come today on campus crying because she was so grateful that we were there. And when I saw her, I was like, well, we see a lot of tears. I wonder what's going on. But she said, I've been sitting in the parking lot waiting for you to open your doors so that I could come in, and so I knew that you were here so that I knew that I could get the services that I was going to need. And I was like, we're here, come on in. And we were there to open the door for her. Community growth has been exponential over the last, you guys are doing an amazing job. I live in Nampa, but I'm over here all the time. So, but Indian Creek brought in so much, and then we have Sky Ranch growing up, and then we have the population growth since 2019. What is it? Is it 18%? That's substantial. And of that 18%, 1 in 3 of those, 1 in 3 of what's reported, are going to be impacted by domestic abuse or sexual assault at some time in their life. 1 in 3. So 1/3 of that 18% population growth is going to show up on our doorsteps. It already has. And then with the growth projections, we've got Creekside with 242 units, and then we've got another project with 386 units. I calculated that out when I looked at the the statistics online, it says that it's 3.15 persons per household. I don't know how you're 1.5 person, but you're 3.15 persons per household. Of that, 530 units that's projected to come in this next year, that's 1,669 and a half people on that 3.15 person statistic. Of that, 1/3 will be needing our services. That's another 556 individuals to receive our services over the course of this next year with that growth. We gotta do it. We've gotta be here for this community. Our current needs, we definitely need a new shelter. That little old building's 105 years old or older. It's tired, but we just remodeled the West Wing, so if you can get a chance to come over and see our West Wing, it's now pandemic specific, so that if there's ever another pandemic, each room has its own special setup. So it's significant. And then we'll also need to improve our staff and the number of staff that we have. We can't continue to meet the needs of the growth of this community, and I think that we owe it to this community to say, we're going to be there to help you. We need a true partnership, and we've had a true partnership, really honestly we have, but last year when I went through and I looked at our statistics, when we do our intakes, we don't make them tell us where they're from, but of the 18,000 that were served last year, 405 of them told us that they actually were Caldwell residents. They were bold enough to say that they lived here. Our average cost per person to serve is $165 per person. That's $66,825 for us to serve those 405 residents of Caldwell over the course of 2022, 2023. And we're scheduled to receive $5,000, of which we haven't, but of that $5,000, we would be able to provide services to 30 of those individuals. We're asking for an increase this year of that support and of those services. We would like to see a $10,000 gift to AAFE, which will then allow us to serve 61 potential individuals, which still doesn't meet the need of those 300 that are supposed to be coming, or their 1,600 that are supposed to be coming in. We're still running at a deficit. Together, I know together we can continue to make a difference, and with the city's continued support and financial partnership, we can get it done. I've given you a copy of our annual report that we did this last year. You have a copy of the presentation, and we so very much value your friendship and your relationship and your commitment to the citizens of the city of Caldwell. So thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Well, thank you so much for showing up here tonight. It's certainly an important topic for our community, and we'll figure out where that $5,000 is at that we pledged to you and it hasn't gotten to you yet. I'm sure we'll figure out where that's at.
It'll get figured out. I know it will. It'll get figured out. I'm not worried.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. All right, next is audience participation. If anyone would like to speak on anything that is not on the agenda tonight, if you come forward and state your name. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Just a reminder for a motion on that, that's 6, 9, and 12. 6, 9, and 12 have been moved to new business, so.
Mr. Council President, I
Yes,
move that, make a motion, we approve the consent calendar as amended for items number 6, 9, and 12.
Motion by Mr. Stoddard. Second by Mr. Allgood. Please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. On to new business, is that where we're at, Debbie? All right, new business. Action item number 1, consider resolution authorizing the execution of a closure and removal agreement with Union Pacific Railroad Company for the closure of 4th Avenue as required by Union Pacific Railroad in exchange for approval of the U-Stick Railroad crossing in an anticipated amount of $162,106 and agreeing to pay for improvements associated with the closure in the form of curb, gutter, sidewalk, fencing, signage, et cetera, in the amount not expected to exceed $40,000. Looks like Rob's going to speak on this.
Yes.
right,
Thank you, Council President Doty and Council. Let me just, I'll just explain this briefly and then we can answer questions. What this is it's an agreement with Union Pacific Railroad for the closure of Fourth Avenue. Fourth Avenue is a crossing that was identified by Union Pacific, and at their requirement, in order for us to make the improvements at the U-Stick Road widening and add additional lanes there, they obligated us more or less to close this crossing. We felt like this crossing closure was a better option than not expanding our U-Stick Road project, and so we opted in that direction. This came before council in May 16th, 2022 for a conceptual approval of the closure, and I needed that to send back to Union Pacific so that they could proceed on review of our plans at the U-Stick Road project. I have received an update today, and I just wanted to read this into the record. There was a cost by the railroad of $162,000 that the city was obligated to pay to remove all of their equipment from the tracks, which are the gates and all the signal and sensory equipment. The information I received today from the state, I've been working with the state to try to get funding to pay for this. And the funding that is available is $175,000 from the state, which would more than cover what the railroad's asking for. And from Blaine Schwendeman with ITD, he's over the railroad projects, he says, I've been informed that funding is available for the project. I was informed that if the city could wait until the fall of this year, we could get a project programmed for covering the cost. And then it goes on a little bit more. There's a couple things that have to happen for that to work out, and he's going to work with staff to make sure that that happens. So what that means is the $162,000 that the railroad is asking for should be covered by ITD, should be able to be covered by ITD, which is good. There's still a little bit of cost to the city to physically close the road, and that would include curb, gutter, and sidewalk, and some fencing on both sides of the crossing to make sure people aren't still trying to drive over Fourth Avenue over the crossing. So that is basically the closure in a nutshell, and I'm happy to answer any questions that council may have.
All right, thank you.
Mr.
Councilor
Council President, is the $40,000 included in the $162,000, or is that over and above?
No, that's separate.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Alden?
Mr. McDonald, what are the plans for that piece of ground after we close the road? Are we gonna vacate that, or what are we gonna do with that piece of road there?
Thank you, Council Member Allgood. Really, that's ultimately up to City Council. Typically, what we're planning to do is close Main Street, basically continue the curb, gutter, and sidewalk on Main Street all the way across Fourth Avenue. So all of Fourth Avenue there, adjacent to Main Street, will become obsolete. And we are required by the railroad just to remove the asphalt so it doesn't look like a road. And then from there, typically what the city would do is vacate that property back to each property owner on each side of Fourth Avenue for their benefit or use. So that's likely what would happen, but I guess we're open to other ideas if there are any.
Thank you.
Any other questions by council? All right, any motions?
Mr. Council President, I have a question. I see Mr. Porter here. Does this have anything to do with the new urban renewal district at all? It's out of that realm? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Stoddard. Any motions on the resolution?
Is this a resolution?
Just consider resolution authorizing the execution.
Mr. President, I would move that we accept this resolution as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Councilor Allgood and second by Councilor Stoddard. Please call the roll.
Alden,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Doty,
Yes.
Stoddard,
Yes.
Register,
Yes.
McGee.
All right, unanimous. So So action item number 2, consider resolution authorizing the reallocation of ARPA funds from infrastructure improvements to public safety equipment needs in the amount not to exceed $130,000 to be used by Caldwell Police Department for the purchase and upgrade of a body camera system. So it looks like we have a Deputy Chief coming up with some assistance.
Council President, council members, thanks for being here and hearing our proposal presentation. I think most of you guys have met our new captain. He's on his 4th day, so we felt the best way to welcome him is to have him provide a presentation for you. So he's going to take over.
Good evening, team. I'm Robert Rosen. I'm the new police captain here for the City of Caldwell Police Department. I'm honored to be here, and my presentation is pretty short and to the point. We at the City of Caldwell, the police department here, have an outdated body-worn camera system to include severely insufficient storage capacity, which in the past has resulted in the loss of critical evidence in a number of cases. Our mission, Chief Ingram's mission for the department, is to improve and repair relationships with the community, and we want to enhance transparency. And by doing that, we want to ensure that the evidence retained on our technology is saved appropriately and into the industry standard. So what we're asking for is for these funds, partially which will be paid for by the federal government, to purchase Axon's body-worn camera system to include cloud storage that's unlimited and built into the cost that will be paid for by the City of Caldwell. And our hopes with that is by increasing capacity, increasing storage, using improved technology that will prove to the city, to the residents, to the city government, that we're on a path, a trajectory of improvement and rebuilding that trust, which is paramount to the success of this organization. So the cost up front, like I said, a portion of it is reimbursable, $130,000. That's what we're asking for, and then we'll build the rest into the budget moving forward. As I said, the technology currently being used is insufficient, it's outdated, and it's leading to problems with the retention of evidence. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, thank you. Any questions for Captain Rosen?
Mr. President?
Go ahead, Mr. Allgood.
Captain, will this, outfit all the new cameras for every officer? I mean, is this enough money to do it all?
Councilmember Allgood, yes. The short answer is yes. That the quote is to purchase 79 body-worn camera systems, not just the equipment, but it's also the storage.
And then there is a continuing cost, roughly 200 and some thousand a year for storage. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And right now, everything is stored in-house.
It is on a server that is nearly at capacity,
Yes.
and we're getting close to that critical point where, without replacing it, then we're gonna be in a problem area. We're trying to get ahead of it, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Council President,
Yes.
Captain Rosen, on that server, is that, the evidence you have on that server, is that can be transferred to the new unit, or is that gonna stay on the old server?
So we have a couple of questions. That's a great question. I don't have the answer to that right now, but what I imagine will happen is there'll be a negotiation to where they'll take that information stored on the server and memorialize it and store it somewhere within the guidelines of the law and our department policy.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. President,
Councilor Williams?
thank you for being here, Captain. Not a question so much as a comment from my observations that I hope will be noteworthy, but the systems that we have been problematic in a lot of operational ways as well, which only defeat their use and their purpose in the field. And so, it's well-timed we look at a solution that's going to be long-term, and I think this is probably the answer to that.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Any other questions?
Well, Captain, if this gets the blessing, how soon will this happen?
Sorry, so we talked with Axon, and they can do it within a 30 to 60-day window. So currently, right now, in our storage capacity for WatchGuard, the system we currently have, we're at about 89%. That can maybe get us 3 or 4 months, at least till October. So if we do implement this soon, we'll have Axon running before we run out of storage space with WatchGuard.
And you're kind of feeding into my, thoughts is we have budget coming up like any minute now. And it would be nice to discuss 200-some thousand a year in budget when we get there as well. So we're kind of thinking along the same lines.
Definitely, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Make a motion.
Go ahead and make your motion.
I move that we consider a resolution authorizing the reallocation of the ARPA funds to the Caldwell Police Department not to exceed $130,000.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Register, second by Counselor Stodic. Please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, it's unanimous. On to action item number 3.
Mr. President,
Yes, Counselor Williams.
I would like for us to consider, in fact, I move that we table action item number 3 to a date certain of April 4th, our next council meeting, simply due to the fact that this is an evolving dialogue and discord, including not just the city, but some of our partners, and I think it prudent for us to take a little more time, and we can deal with this at our next council meeting.
All right, so the motion is to hold off on bill number 11 or action item number 3 until a date certain of April 4th.
Second.
Second by Counselor Register. Please call the roll.
Oh, Mr. Council
Oh,
President, discussion,
sorry.
please.
Discussion, go ahead.
Our legal department, is it appropriate, I see some folks here from the airport, that would be appropriate to, have them, discuss anything they would like to relative to this particular item, or do we need to wait until the next council meeting? Because they've taken the time to come here, and I'm sure they weren't aware that this was gonna be moved, so.
Good question, Mr. Council President. It's your meeting, and you can take comment if you want to. It might be more appropriate when this is up for an action item, and I get that that's gonna wind up being an inconvenience for some folks. But it might be better to do that when the mayor's back and this will actually be up for decision.
Okay.
That's correct, and I think that the mayor had stressed that there wouldn't be public comment tonight, so it might be something better to bring up if the motion passes to move it to April 4th.
Okay, I hope it didn't disconvene a lot of the folks out there that didn't know about it, so I hope you can return at the next meeting then. Okay, thank you.
All right. So we have a motion, I believe it was by Council Register and a second by Council Stodic, so any more comments? Call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, we had 3 exceptions. So 3A would be moved from the consent calendar, and it was approved resolution authorizing purchase of a 2024 Kenworth plow truck. Who's going to speak to that tonight? Looks like Raylyn North, our finance director. Welcome, Raylyn.
Hello. So this item, I actually am not the normal person to speak to this, but this is concerning a 2024 budget item. And usually when we go to purchase something, it does obligate it. And so this, if we were to purchase it today, it would obligate it to 2023. And I have not been able to discuss with Brent, and so I would recommend that we table this to explore this within the current year's budget to see if we have the funding available, and then bring it back to council.
Any questions for Ms. North? Any motions?
Mr. President, I'd move that we would, Ray Lynn, is it good if we go to the very next meeting, or do you need farther out?
I think the next meeting would be fine.
Mr. President, I would move that we schedule this to the next council meeting, first meeting in April.
April 4th. Okay, got a motion by Counselor Allgood, a second by Counselor Stoddard. Please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Mr. President, are we in the same boat on the next two? They're both purchases.
No, number 9, I need to make a statement on number 9, so.
Mr. Council President, just
Yes,
the
Counselor
the
Stoddard.
folks that are here for the airport thing, if you folks wanna leave, you don't have to bear the pain here for the rest of the meeting, so if you want to leave, just go ahead.
This is a shorter one, though.
Not you, Randy, you need to stay.
Thank you.
All right. New business moved off the consent calendar. Number 9 is approved resolution ratifying the execution of a revised agreement with the Idaho State Police for the Idaho Non-Criminal Justice Agency Access Agreement. Just as a statement, I'd like to make clearly, I work for the state police. This is one of the units I'm over, so I'll refrain from voting, and that's why we moved it for full transparency. Though it doesn't put any money in my pocket, I just want to make that very clear. I just won't be voting on this, so. If we can, any other comments or questions about the resolution?
Mr. Council President, I'm just curious why it was brought up for discussion.
Probably gonna have to get Ms. Geyer. Please, would you mind? Well, it's good to know.
Council President and members, recently there was an audit conducted with my department, that we partner with the Idaho State Police in regards to background checks for various licenses. And with that, we have to have access through those FBI background check rap sheets. That's what this is about. We've had that ongoing for several years now because we have made that requirement to code to have the background checks. We've had an ongoing agreement, but that was under the other administration with the Mayor Nancola signing that agreement. In the audit, it was brought up that it needs to be current with the new administration. So the new agreement basically just reflects the signature of Mayor Wagner on that. So he has actually signed the agreement. This is a ratification of that action in order to be in compliance with the Idaho State Police requirements. Any questions?
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Did you have any
Yeah,
questions?
I just want, no funds involved,
No, there is no funds involved at all. It's just a partnership and agreement, mutual agreement that we use the access to those background checks.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Counselor Stoddard, for clearing that up. Any other questions, comments, any motions for number 9? Or I guess it would be 3B.
I move that we approve that resolution.
Second.
All right, moved by Counselor McGee, seconded by Counselor Stoddard. Please call the roll.
Yes.
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 I'm refraining.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you, it passed. All right, 3C on new business would be to approve resolution authorizing the execution of a cost-sharing agreement with BHEG, Passero Ridge LLC, for construction of an irrigation well that will mutually serve Passero Ridge subdivision and Mallard Park. I'm guessing Rob is the guy.
Yes,
you.
good guess. Even though this is not my project, I will note. I will just do a brief explanation and then answer any questions you have. It has been the city irrigation department's policy to try to consolidate irrigation systems as much as possible so that we don't have an irrigation well and well house in every single subdivision. So what we do is we look at larger areas and we try to build larger regional irrigation stations that can serve more than one development. In this case, we have been looking closely, down by the lake and what the future holds down there. And what we have proposed is an irrigation station that would not only feed the subdivision, Pasero Ridge, that's coming in, but would also feed Mallard Park, which has been fed off of well 21, a potable well, for the last 10 years since it was created. So we want to get it off that well in the potable water and get it onto irrigation water. And so we have been working with the developers at Pasero, and that is I can't find their name now. The BHEG, Pasero, and that's the same as that's Toll Brothers basically. So we've been working with them. As part of this, we've looked at the acreage, the amount of water they're using on their site, and the amount that we need for the park, and we've split the irrigation station up proportionately. So they'll pay 90 or 59% of the cost, and then the city will pay the other 41%. And then in addition to that, there would be oversizing reimbursement for any of the lines they have to upsize to get from the lift station or the pump station over to the park. And generally, that's what this agreement encapsulates. This agreement has been ongoing for some time. It has been reviewed by the city legal department, and we're trying to get this approved so that we can have all this construction done by the end of May, so that it'll be up and ready for irrigation season. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Right, thank you. Do we have a cost estimate, or did I miss that somewhere in the packet, or?
So the estimated cost that Mr. Orton had put down is $200,000, and that would be funded out of the irrigation department's budget. I don't know the details of the cost estimate, but I would certainly be happy to gather more information and bring that back if it's the council's desire.
All right, thank you. Raylene, you'd probably know this, but just for full transparency, I'm hoping there's 200,000 in that budget or that department, the irrigation department budget.
Yes, as I have started to dig in further, I know that with the irrigation fund, that there is cash available. I'd be happy to send you the cash balance tomorrow morning, because I don't have it in front of me. But when I was looking at it earlier this week, as digging into some of them, I do recall that there was available, and I believe it was over 500,000. So.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President,
go ahead, Ms.
is 200,000 just our 41% of the cost, or is 200,000 the whole well?
That is a very good question. I would assume that the city's portion would be not to exceed the 200,000 that's on this document. These wells get spendy. The last one we did that we worked with some developers on was 500,000+, and so this there was a well drilled, and the reason why the city's involved in this is because water quality is a big deal on our potable wells, and when irrigation wells are not drilled correctly, or in this case, if they're going down to the wrong aquifers, then it's going to take water from the potable wells that we already have in that area. So we're trying to keep a handle on how development is going about drilling these wells to make sure that it's not causing any adverse impacts.
Thank you. Any other?
Council President, Mr. McDonald, so this is strictly irrigation water, is that what we understand?
Correct.
Okay, and this new subdivision that's going, are they gonna drill their own well, or are they gonna be off of city water for potable water?
Oh, they will be off city water.
Okay.
We don't allow new subdivisions to come in to the city and drill their own wells. They have to connect to potable water.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, any motions on new business item 3C?
Mr. President,
Go ahead, Councilor Allgood.
I move that we accept the resolution as presented by Mr. McDonald.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allgood and second by Mr. Stoddard. Please call the roll.
Allgood?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Doty?
Yes.
Stoddard?
Yes.
Register?
Yes.
McGee?
All right, perfect. Now we're on to action item number 4. This goes a lot faster when I'm here. Have you noticed that? Maybe because the agenda's a lot shorter too.
Is it my turn?
All right, action item number 4, consider acceptance of the financial report.
I move that accounts payable in the amount of $2,555,024.57, represented by check numbers 168326 through 168651, and payroll for the amount of $527,185.24, represented by check numbers 38391 through 38404, and direct deposits be accepted, payments approved, and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
Motion by Counselor Register, second by Counselor Williams. Please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, council reports. Counselor Register.
Yes, I got to go dress up as a fireman. I'm sure, I don't know if y'all saw those pictures. Is he still here, or did he leave? Fire chief left. So they had an event where we were invited to come out and actually put on all the gear and go into a burning building, which I'm guessing was not real smoke. I think it was some kind of machine. And you can't see it. So anyway, so I got to go, but my pants were dragging, the boots didn't fit. And Shar went too, so it was kind of girl power, although the clothes fit her better. And so then we had to go in with a team, and actually, like, you could not see and you can't breathe. You know, I mean, they give you a thing, but you can't see at all. And then you have to drag the hose in there, and we found the fire and we put it out, and I learned that if you let go of the hose, it kind of goes crazy. And then we tried to get out, and then I fell, and I couldn't walk for 2 days, and, you know, whatever. But anyway, it gave me a whole new respect for the fire department. I had already had respect for them, but I couldn't even believe that for 30 minutes how hard that was and how they do that all the time. And then, you know, I got to go home and take a nap, and they don't. So anyway, it was a great event, and I feel like we now need to do that with every division in the city, because I think it brings so much awareness to what they're doing. And Shar actually, I think, rescued the body. Our team did not. So.
All right, thank you. Counselor Stoddard.
Yes, I attended the fireman's graduation over at the Napa facility. I know Council President Doty was there, and Councilor Allgood was there also, and it's great to see new folks come online and all the training they had to go through. It's not an easy task, that's for sure, but it was a great ceremony. Regarding the Veterans building, we had a breakfast here about last month, I guess it was, and they raised about $1,000 for the disabled veterans over there, so that's going to help a lot. And we still have a couple of fundraisers that'll be coming up, and and we're starting to plan for the Memorial Day celebration also. So that's all I have.
Excellent, thank you. And just to add on to the fire, yes, a few of us were there. It was just great to see Caldwell and Nampa collaborate as well, though it's been so divided over all the years, and now they're working together, sharing those expenses versus each individual department eating all of those expenses, plus so when they arrive on scene, they're all trained the same way. So it was just great to see how they combined the ceremony. And welcome to our new firefighters. Councilor Williams.
Nothing today, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor Allgood.
Nothing for me, sir.
And Councilor McGee.
Council President, I appreciate you recognizing the Yotes. Those games were, especially the last two, were pretty nerve-wracking. And my dad started taking me to those games when I was about 10 years old. And this is probably the best team that I've ever seen. It's an exciting time for our community, and Colby and the rest of the team just did a tremendous job. So thank you for recognizing them earlier.
You bet. And they have a event tomorrow night at 7, is that correct? 7:30? Well, there's like a pre-thing at 7, but meet the players at 7:30. So if anyone wants to go over there, I'm sure you can find it on any social media account, but to celebrate the team and welcome them back to Caldwell. So it's quite an achievement, and we're proud of them, that's for sure. All right. Anything else?
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion by Councilor Williams and a second by, did you say it, Councilor Register, right before?
He's louder than me.
Okay, Council Register, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.